The one thing that common decency and common sense have in common is that neither is very common. The common people were never really known for their decency or their sense, to be fair. They were held in ignorance in the first place. They were oppressed in the second place. And not much was ever really demanded of them in terms of behavior, except don't riot, try not to kill each other too much, and leave us alone. We're the rich people with the swords and the guns and the armies and the knights on horses and whatever head-bashing equipment the guys had that kept the villagers in check. You know, you could beat your plow into a sword if you really had to, but could you use it? Really, weaponry technology has always been what keep the rich ahead of the poor. That's my vacuum cleaner. The thing should be angled so all you see is this, but I'm not using a tripod. I'm just standing in my bathroom because the parrot's too loud. I was going to do this while I do wash dishes. I wanted to rant on common decency because there seems to be too little decency in the world. I was explaining how, decency's never been really common in the first place. But I do think at the same time that all human societies have operated throughout time with certain understandings of how we interact with each other, of social behavior, stuff that even an autistic like me can clearly, easily learn. Don't forget to share with the people around you when you have something that's fun. I mean, if I really don't want to share it, I don't enjoy it till I'm alone. Okay? You don't eat in front of others without sharing. You don't enjoy a pleasure without sharing or offering at any rate. I mean, they don't want it. That's fine, And there are some pleasures you don't offer to others. Anyway, I've got too much in my head. There's certain rules of understanding, rules of compassion and love that are natural to human beings and don't seem to be anymore. Now, in the early days of media, and I'm not talking about the storyteller, and I'm not even talking about the theater now. I'm moving into the 20th century when entertainment became media. It used to just be entertainment. The guy showed up in town. He was playing at the bar. Everybody showed up. The barkeep gave him a cut of the profits, and he got a bunch of tips, and he got fed and sheltered. Everybody got music for the first time in however long since a minstrel showed up. Entertainment. Joe down the road knows how to play the fiddle. We're all going to his place Friday night, and we're going to have a hoedown, and so-and-so's figured out how to play the drums, and yada yada. Boom. Entertainment. Now it's media. It's copyright media. It's entertainment media. Now it's all of this high, fancy, expensive stuff that blows you away. Blows things up. They blow your mind. They blow the things up. They blow things. Back when it was the early days of media, of recording and making films and making TV shows, we saw a lot of moral lessons being taught. Things like sharing is caring and love thy neighbor and, don't forget to wash your hands, Billy. Really, and we make laugh of that stuff as being naive somehow. I don't think that that's coming from us, by the way. I think that's coming from the same place the lack of decency is coming from. In those days, the artists were pretty much in charge of their message, and it was the artist community who were selecting which of those messages and stories to promote. Which art got funded, which art didn't get funded. What did they talk about, what did they not talk about? In the older days, and censorship had a hand in it, and that was people who weren't artists. There was some of that going on. But you saw a lot more of the attempt to promote things that included humankind goals, human kindness goals. And now, the guy who wears the hat, the white hat, and is nice to everybody, He's good looking, he's clean, he's well presented, he's well mannered, and he's the villain. And who's the hero? Oh, we call him the anti-hero. He's the one that psychopathically runs around damaging everyone around him because he thinks he knows what's right. It started with Batman. But the thing is, those kind of stories are always out there. Both sides of that story. The good guy versus bad guy thing has had both sides of that story, where we demonize either side, we heroize either side. The thing that's happened, though, is that there is a small select group of people. By the way, I'm stretching my legs in case you're wondering about the shifting. There's a small select group of people who get to choose which stories we see. Those things cost so much money that only people with that much money have the governing power to decide which stories we see. And those people don't want us promoting these kinds of values that go directly against all the principles of making a profit, all of the principles of gaining wealth. You cannot become extremely wealthy. I mean, you don't have to worry about a thing level wealthy. You can't get there if you worry about anyone else. You just can't. And if you've got a population who demands common decency, it makes it harder to get away with the kind of skullduggery it takes to get that kind of rich. And so these very rich people who are generating the media for us, they are buying their compatriots. Anyone who's in that mix of that industry that can be bought gets lifted up and included in the whole plan of, but not the whole plan. I don't think that the actors, for instance, necessarily understand that the parts they're playing in their art form are subverting human society. I don't think they necessarily understand it. I don't think they even stop to think about such lofty concepts as, playing Iron Man is going to subvert human kindness society and turn people into assholes. And yet, can you see that that's happened? Can you understand it's not just because we're not starving? It's not just because we don't have hardship. We're not simply spoiled by comfort or pleasure. And that, by the way, is what the rich men want you to think. But if having 3 squares a day and being able to raise your children in security and give them a proper education, if that's considered spoiled, what about those rich guys? They got a lot more. How much more spoiled are they than us? How is it our fault? Once again, how is it your fault and my fault? And frankly, how many people do you really know who are living that Instagram lifestyle for real? No. Not how many accounts and channels you could find in social media or online. I mean, think about the people you know in your life. You do still know some. You either work with them, or you run into them when you buy stuff at a grocery store, or their family. You still have family and friends. I know, because I went through a Facebook, I did a Marie Kondo on my Facebook friends list. I took it from over 200 to under a dozen. Okay? But I still have some friends. I still know people. And not all of the people that I'm looking at when I look around, the people around me are necessarily friends. Some are acquaintances, some are interactions I have in my daily life, like I say, a store clerk, and some are my neighbors. None of them have that Instagram lifestyle. Not a single one of them. The closest would be my relatives. They live with some comfort and security. They still worry about things. It's human nature, but they don't worry about whether or not they're going to run out of medicine before the budget comes in to buy more. Okay? But how many of you do? Right? How are we spoiled? How is it our fault that our society has gone down the tubes? It not. And it's frankly not that easy to do that to people anyway. You have to engineer that this level of insanity has to be engineered. And it has been getting engineered. And when you consider that one man's lifespan can be up to 100 years, and we have seen centenarians who are fully capable of continuing to run an empire if they are empire leaders. And we know that being a fabulously wealthy person allows you to become an empire leader. And we know that it also allows you to hide behind younger family members, to hide like a flippin' vampire in your mansion. So we don't really know what mind or minds or how many have been engineering this disaster of the human soul. Or how, we don't know how many, we don't know how old, we don't know for how long. Has it all been the hand of one mind that has managed to continue to manipulate us all? Just by hiring the right people, frankly. It's all about hiring the right people. If you hire the right people, you can get anything done. But if you want to hire anybody, you need money or some other hook. You've got to have a hook. People won't do stuff for you for free, especially not now. And that's part of the engineering they did. That's part of what they created. They created for us a system of values that we think has been around since time immemorial, wherein every iota of your efforts, your productivity, anything that you have or think or wish or feel, even the stuff that just comes out of nothing from your head and is written down digitally into nothing, suddenly has monetary value. And you're not supposed to share or give or do anything without first establishing that monetary value. And just in case you're one of those radical, crazy leftists who actually has the gall to trade product with another person, the government still wants a cash cut in the form of taxes on the value assessed of the bartered goods that you two exchanged. Seriously, look up the laws. They don't enforce it very well because of the difficulty of having provable evidence. But they actually have outlawed barter. Okay? Decency, where did it go? It was bought and killed like a sacrificial calf. You're going to have to raise a new one.